and Bubbly Lora,
where we talk about relationships.
That is right. And because everybody cares about relationships, what should people do?
You should subscribe for our channel, which is over there, the button. Don't miss it. Okay, now let's see what are we going to talk about today.
The topic.
Why are you always leaving the toilet seat up? Why?
Okay, why is that a problem? I always leave the toilet seat up when I use the toilet. I've done it like all my life. Why can't you just pick it up and leave it up as well? You should do it the same.
You are a man and I'm a lady. If you did this, it's because you used to live alone and you're a guy. And when you live with a lady, it works a little different.
Okay, and you see, that's how the problem came to be. It's a little bit different problem because this problem grew on us. It's not the first time I left the toilet seat up and it aggravated her or made her mad. It kind of, over time it built up and it exploded one day.
Also, it is a thing that explodes in every relationship. Like,
for the toilet seat?
Yes, of course.
It's interesting though, that's such a small thing and it seems to be an issue in almost many relationships, right? It becomes a problem. So typically in that first part of this half an hour that we talk about the everyday situations between couples, we describe what happened, the situation. And so since the beginning, we came to live together with Lora. I've always left the toilet seat up. I don't know if it's a guy thing or not. Probably it is. The majority of the guys, when we use the toilet, all those guys that are watching, I'm sure you do it too. And Lord didn't say anything, right? So it wasn't a one-time situation. It was an occurring situation because I always do that. I leave the toilet seat up. And over time, at the beginning, she didn't say anything about it, right?
Yes.
So there was no situation. I kept on doing it like I've always done it. I use the toilet and if I need the toilet seat down, and then I pick it up or like leave it up, or if I don't need it, I just do my thing and pick it down. There's no such thing, but the truth is, or the gist of it all is that I don't care about how the toilet seat is down or up. If it's down, I leave it down, and if it's up, I leave it up and I use it, and that's how it goes. But it's interesting because that wasn't a problem at the beginning.
Yes.
Right? It was not a situation where we the first time I did it, boom, and there's an argument. So it was not a one-time situation. But, however, what does happen is...
I can tell.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what happens usually is that when we are in the period of getting to know each other in the beginning, when everything is pink and sweet and you are still living, for example, on your own, but you are meeting and having fun together, and there comes time when you start staying over more and more with your partner. And this thing in the beginning doesn't really make you notice it, because you know that you are not at your home, like for the girl, and it's alright. But
there's a big but?
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
It is that when you start living together with the guy, you accept that this is not like a problem. Before you start regularly going to the toilet, to the bathroom again and again, and you see this up seat, and because of the difference between a girl and a boy, for example, it's more difficult for a girl to think about this instead of the boys, because you as a boy, you go inside and you always do it, and girls don't. Like, it's basically the toilet seat is always down, so it is supposed to be down.
Always down.
It is, yes.
And ready.
Yes. Not, you can put everything down, like
Even the lid.
Yes.
Like the actual lid of the toilet. That
Yeah.
too. That too. Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't do that. I still don't do that.
it used to drive me crazy. I swear, every time. I was like thinking over and over and over again how to tell him, because this is something that for girls it's something that you get shy.
Like this topic?
Yes, of course.
Okay, it's not a ladies' topic, obviously, right? It's guys don't really care. It's not
Yeah, and it makes
a shameful topic or anything, but we just don't talk about it. It's not important. But for you, it is.
It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes every lady feel uncomfortable talking about these things.
Okay, but it's interesting. You made a note of it in your mind from the very beginning, right? But it took a while until we had an argument about it. It built, like it grew that. So in your mind, it kind of escalated until one day we kind of did what?
I drank a lot of liquids and water and stuff, and I wanted to go to the bathroom, and this feeling when you just don't think about the seat, so you straight go and sit on the toilet, and this terrible feeling.
When you sit not on the toilet seat?
Yes. And I was ready to, and
so the balloon kind of, it was
almost
the last
blew up.
the last drop, and then
Yes, and it was like I did my work. I get out of the bar and I was like, Alex, again. Well, we need to figure out something, because this really drives me crazy. And what did you do then?
Well, we're gonna get into the steps in a little bit, but that's when the argument it built up to it, and we had an argument about the seat. Should it be down? Should it be up? Why am I not, putting it down so it's ready for the lady and it's cleaner and it looks better, right?
Yeah.
And then I said the same things that I opened up the conversation today. Is like, well, I didn't even think about it. It's like I've always done.
The problem is that guys don't think about it.
Yeah, we didn't think about it. So it was a problem. We argued. I don't know if it was once or twice, but we argued a few times about it, right?
Oh, more than a few times.
More a few times, and of course, I think maybe it's time to go into the second part of our conversation, where we talk about how did our egos go about it, right?
Typically, yeah. What is the reaction of the ego?
So what is the reaction of the ego in this situation? And we'll tell you what happened to us, and probably something that you can connect with. Do you want to go first? Or because you were the one, like, it aggravated you, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about there's a mental process that you take every time you see the seat up,
I take a mental note. Okay, I will try to explain this. What would typically a girl's ego do? In the beginning, you don't say anything because you like the person you are with, and you don't want to seem like a grumpy and all the time mumbling, complaining girl. Yeah. So you're like, okay, it may change. This is the first 2-3 times. After that,
but you do have a conversation about it. Like, you do have a conversation about it.
Everything happens in my head. It's a building process, growing process. After that, it's like the next step of this is, okay, nothing is changing. I'm still talking about this with myself in my head. Which is the main thing here, that I'm talking with myself, I'm not talking to him. Why I'm not talking to him? My ego is like, you cannot go and kind of shame yourself talking to a boy about these things.
That's an interesting one. So there's that part of it where not only you like me, you don't want to talk about it, but you also feel ashamed, not ashamed, but like it's a sensitive topic, we can say.
It is a sensitive.
The ladies.
Yeah, it is very sensitive for the ladies. So I was okay. I will try to do some things to push him to understand this. So I started like putting the lid down and everything, and it was that morning when you like rush so you can go out and do your stuff, and you go in and it's up again. And in my head is like, oh my god, he doesn't understand. Well, boys don't understand. You need to talk. I know it's been something that a lot of people have repeated and repeated, but this thing that when you talk with yourself in your head, no one can hear your thoughts and no one can understand how you feel. And you know this moment when you go out of the bathroom and you're angry and your day starts already with the low vibe. So I go out and I look at Aleks like, and I don't know what to say. My ego is stopping me of telling him and making me angry at the same time. So there was...
That's an interesting combination, eh?
Yeah, there are so many thoughts in my head that I didn't know how to come up with. So it grew, and you know that day when you were in a real rush and everything, and when this situation happened and the seat and the lid and everything was up, and because it's just how girls are made, you know, you go in the toilet and you straightly sit, and this terrible feeling, and you go out of the bathroom like ready for a fight.
Now I got it.
Yes, because it was a long day, you had a lot of stuff happened and you are busy. I'm not present, I'm not thinking straight. I don't understand that he's not doing this on purpose, that he doesn't even know that this annoys me and drives me crazy. So
we'll get into that later, but like of what is actually happening versus what the ego is doing. That's a really good like a perspective from ladies' view, Lora. So thank you. Like I'm learning here too, like as we speak through that. I'm gonna share with you what happened in my mind, the ego mind, right? And a little bit deeper into the topic. Like I had no idea, right, until that point. And when I was confronted with that, like because we had the argument, it was a shock to me. I didn't know that the conversation has been happening in Lora's head, right? Like from the beginning. And so I defended myself, right? Like I'm being put on the spot, like I'm doing something wrong. And because it's escalated, right? Because the conversation continues and grows. And a lot of it is as you do that in your mind, people, in any topic, like you're gonna create unreality. There might be an issue that needs to be resolved, but when you're creating it on your mind over and over, you're gonna make it bigger. You're gonna exaggerate it, like at least. And when you now finally had enough of it and confront your couple, he's gonna defend himself, right? Or her, depending on the situation. So that's what I did. Like my ego just put the guards up. It's like, whoa, you're blaming him for something. I'm your problem right away. Like again, I'm your problem. Yes, I'm up. My ego is pushing its boundaries up. But I want you to just think about it just for a second. Look at the process that the ego created from the very beginning. In Lora's mind, there's Lora and there's I. I'm the one who's not doing something that the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, she can tolerate that the first couple times. And then, okay, there's more conversation. Oh, okay, now it's like we're gonna be living together here, and he's still not changing that habit. I'm putting the seat down, he keeps it up. I'm putting it down, he keeps it up. And then there's the conversation, oh, I'm sensitive about this topic, I don't know if I should talk about it, right? And so there's 4 angles. The conversation in her mind accumulates, and you can probably notice that in yourself if you stop for a moment. What have you done it on? What have you approached in the same way, where you don't say something to your partner for a certain time, right? Mm-hmm. For days, months, sometimes years, right? Like you've lived with a guy or a girl for so long, and okay, well, today, tomorrow, I don't want to confront him, or maybe he'll change or she'll change. But you're creating a mental story that you live with. Right? It's not helpful, it's not healthy, obviously it's not resolving the situation, right? You're creating it. And I want you to see how, not productive, but like how sick and irrational your ego is. It keeps your mind occupied with something that the other person doesn't know, so it cannot be resolved. You're not feeling good about it. I mean, there's no way it's a positive thought, it's negative thought. And at the end of the day, when you're ready to talk about the other person, It's that much worse because you've been, you know, like building up that balloon that it's gonna blow up so much harder than if you didn't do that story. So the ego here, did it resolve the situation?
No, it just created an argument, a bigger problem, and an awful hour for us.
Yeah, so we just shared with you how the ego does it traditionally, and the result was not good.
Yeah, we argued about this, but I think that this situation is a little different because it is a sensitive topic for ladies. And before we tell about the one bubble concept, or maybe now, what is a good way to start this topic? You tell me as a boy, because for girls, for me, it was hard, and it starts with an argument. So what is something that...
A better way? Well, we can talk about it within that section, because it is a better way, right? We're looking for that way.
So now we know what the ego will do. For the girls, it is something that grows, and at some point it just pops up when you are not in the good mood and you had a bad day or you didn't sleep. And for the guy, is a situation that comes out of nowhere.
Surprise, a shock, and defense is up.
Yeah, if he does it, and it's just like a habit that you don't think about. So if we use the one bubble concept, how would the situation go?
Let's a quick reminder. What every time a one bubble concept is when we put ourselves in one unit as a couple, right? We are one unit, which means we're not looking at the situation as I, Alex, the ego, and Lora, the ego, separate bubbles, separate people or separate egos, but we see ourselves as one unit, one bubble, one couple, right? That's what we mean by one bubble concept. So we saw what the ego did, and it wasn't the result that you want, because it's going to carry on in a different problem if you start with that and yada yada. So in the one bubble concept, well, if you kept it going and growing and that didn't work out, what's the opposite of that? What is the opposite of, like, you kept that thought to yourself, and it created that scenarios, and you went with it for some time, right? Before you told me. That didn't work, right? It created a big argument. What is the opposite of that? Let's start there, maybe.
Maybe this is something that, if annoys the girl, like me in this situation, is something that you should think of a way to say it as soon as you get annoyed about this. But now I, as a girl, and from the part of all the girls that are watching us, would like to ask you to give an advice. How would a guy react, and what is an appropriate way to ask you about this and to tell you that this is something that
Perfect question.
doesn't make your lady
uncomfortable. That's a perfect question. You see, in the one bubble concept, what we talk about is that there are situations. That's an uncomfortable situation, right? That's sensitive situation. Life is full of situations. We're not saying there's no situation. But what we want to say here is that you don't put yourselves in corners and start arguing about it, because that's not how it is not productive. It doesn't work from the ego's perspective. So bringing it up from the very beginning in a way of saying, hey, safe zone, right? Something is bothering me, right? And I want to be comfortable, right? To be able to share it with you. And so asking for that safe zone, it puts my guard down. There's no ego, right? As soon as you come up to me and say, safe zone, I don't know how to say that, I need a safe zone, I need to talk to you. That puts I'm not now in a defense to say, I'm gonna argue here, I better prepare my, big guns, right? I'm more of a, okay, well, my girl is concerned about something, I'm more into, I want to listen to you, maybe help you mode. You see? And when you bring up the conversation, it's not you against me like in an argument that exploded. It's I have a situation, how do we resolve it? So now it's in a one bubble, let's find a solution state, not in, oh, don't tell me what to do, I'll put it up, you put it down, whatever, right? It doesn't go there. It goes into, well, how do we find a way to fix that without being in two separate bubbles or egos and argue?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we got to it eventually, right? We're gonna talk about it, the results later, but that's my answer to that. Your question was, what is a good way to do it? And a good way is to drop the ego and don't blow it for months, right, in your mind.
Yeah.
Come up to me or I to her, right, and say, hey, look, there's something that's in my mind and I don't wanna let it grow. That's exactly the word you could use. That's conscious being, right? Saying, I don't want it to bug me for days and months. It's not working. I want to talk to my partner.
Yeah, I think that
Does that make sense?
this thing that you said actually is a really nice way to present this situation, and I really liked the way you said it. Like, how did you say it? Can you repeat? Like,
Putting the ego separately, but in focusing on the situation.
no, about literally the words, which is.
I feel
Yeah.
I need safe zone here. I want to talk to you about something.
I want to talk about something that I don't want it to grow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really good way to start a situation. So to start a conversation, not a situation.
Avoid the situation.
Actually, yes. To avoid the situation, you can just at the moment that you're both in peace, and as soon as you girls see that there is something that you are shy to talk about, you first need to convince yourself that there is nothing wrong in talking with your partner about the sensitive topics. For example, me and Aleks, you cannot imagine even how close we are, and we talk about everything. But I know that there are girls out there that are not that I don't know, it's not open-minded, the word in English.
Close to the partner? Or?
No, like they feel shy. It's something that girls are not comfortable to talk about.
Okay, well, comfortable is a good word to use.
So first you need to convince yourself that you want to solve this situation.
The girl. Now,
the girl,
right?
yeah, because this is something that bothers us as ladies, and as soon as you are perfectly sure that you want to resolve this situation so it doesn't bother you anymore, what you can do is to start like, there is a sensitive topic that makes me uncomfortable and I would like us to find a solution, so can you please, it may sound funny, but please like listen to me and tell whatever is on your mind.
Sooner rather than later, right? As soon as you are,
as soon as possible, so there is not this growth like happened in our situation when I went like yelling.
Yes. Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, I mean we are kind of saying the same thing here. The important thing to understand is that as we teach this one bubble concept or share with you how it works for us, is that the situation needs to be separate than egos. When you put egos in a situation, then the egos fight, or it's a reason to fight, right? And so as Lora said, or from ladies' perspective, if somebody is, because sensitive topics for guys could be different for sensitive topics for girls, right? Often are, right? Sometimes could be the same topics, but often women feel shy, just as we speak about, the toilet, the whole idea about going to the bathroom, right?
You say that there are topics that guys are shy to talk about?
There's gotta be.
Girls?
We have to figure out the topic that we talk about. There's gotta be. But in this case, the important thing is to remember always, hey, look, my ego is not helping me, because we just showed you what happens when you follow the ego. You're gonna have an argument. And if you're looking for an argument, go for it, right? And if you fail and you do it, don't blame yourself. We're humans, we learn. Right?
Yeah, it's
we
okay.
Learn. And so that's what happens with us, Lora and I, right? Finally, okay, wait a minute. That's the situation, right? There's no need to fight about it and going out of our bubble into separate bubbles and fight. And so what we do now is...
I think that here is important to say that it's time for the result. The result is that...
What happened to us?
Yes, when we opened to each other, everything was like... okay, sorry. When I went out of when I came into the room yelling, Aleks was in really peaceful mind state at that moment. So it was really nice that not both of us were in their own bubbles. So he managed to handle this situation, and he first thought about our bubble, and he was like, okay, calm down, let's talk about this. So he filled for me the bubble and helped me to come back in the present moment, so I can explain to him that this is a problem for me. And the result is that now I know what he thinks. I know that he doesn't make it to make me struggle or annoy me.
Oh.
It just, sometimes I pick it up, sometimes he puts it down, and everybody's happy. And honestly, as long as I shared with him, I feel so much calmer, and I don't even notice what happens. I just put on in my head a mental note to check in advance. And
a brilliant thought came to me. I want to share it.
Yeah.
Because catching up on what you said, and everybody's happy, Lora said, and it kind of occurred to me, it's like in a relationship, and what we describe here and how we live is, it's not important for me to be happy as often as I can, and for Lora to be as happy as often as she can, like separately, or like keeping numbers on how often in my head I'm happy, winning, and her, but the bubble to be happy, right? Because we are a unit. If you live together with somebody, you cannot be a separate thing. You are part of something, right? You have an identity, but it's part of a one thing, right?
when it comes to things that are for both of you, there is one bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like living in one shared space, like your apartment, your house, or whatever, it's about the bubble. There you are not you, like there is not an own bubble. If you need your space, it's very good time to say and to practice, I need a safe zone. I need you to like please be quiet for a while, or I want to stay.
Go out or whatever. Like there's many ways to do it.
Yeah,
right?
but it's important to know that in a relationship, for being happy and healthy in your relationship, you need to share, and because sharing is caring.
And there's no I in us,
Yeah.
right?
Because the one bubble concept is a relationship between people.
Without egos. And so the smaller your I is and the bigger the us is in the relationship, the happier you'll be with your partner. It's not philosophy, it's not some voodoo stuff, it's reality. And this is what we did in this situation. So when I see the seed, if I remember, it's important for me, us to be happy. So I'm not gonna purposely just keep it up just because it's my opinion and it counts. I'm happy, I'm right. No, it is, if I remember, I'll put it down, right? And the same thing for her. If it bugs her, right? She is a lot more tolerant to say, hey, she doesn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be. And so that's interesting, because we kind of, there's a story how it developed, what it happened, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people can agree that they've had similar situations in their life. Could be about toilets, it could be about anything else. And how we dealt with it. And now when I look back at it, it kind of seems like, well, that's such a funny situation. But when you're in the situation,
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
not
feel that
funny.
way, right? So that's why we share these situations, Lora and I, with you, because next time you find yourself in a situation, to catch it earlier.
Yeah, you can think of, oh, I have watched this, so I can try their way. Why not?
Try to be present and come back into the bubble. See what happens.
And remember that being in a couple doesn't mean losing your identity. It is about sharing and being better together, because
your identity will be better, stronger, happier, smarter, more beautiful when it feels that same identity on the other side.
when you feel safe and in one bubble.
Absolutely. That was the topic for this week. I hope you found it interesting. It was interesting for us. We're wondering how do we present it, because it is a topic that comes up.
Thank you very much
yeah,
for watching, and remember the most important thing
is
don't struggle.
Bubble!
Bubble!